We are excited. We've got Nick from Key Credit Repair in studio. Listen, there's a lot. You work in the world of black boxes, Nick. I mean, it is so hard to understand a lot of this credit stuff, and really what you think may help your credit actually doesn't help your credit. So we want to try to uncover some of those myths, Nick. But thank you for being part of the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
We've been around for almost a decade now, and we found a niche that a lot of people didn't really want to be part of, which is the 1/3 of consumers that simply can't get a loan because of a 3-digit score. And the problem is, and we talked about this before, it's like fact versus fiction. People don't know how to navigate this score. And there are 1,000,001 websites, and they're each giving you kind of a different version of how to navigate the score. So it's technology it's actually making things a lot worse. Google is actually making this topic worse.
Right.
It's like WebMD. Everyone's trying to get the cure, but there's like 100 different cures. That's what's
Everybody
happening.
thinks they have cancer.
That's
yes. Yeah, basically.
That's right.
The name of your company, I want to emphasize that, Key Credit Repair, but opening doors again. That's really key. I think the focus of your company has been to be able to open doors again for the consumers. Unraveling the mystery of credit, but also really taking them through the steps of repairing that credit to be able to get them to achieving
Back to home ownership.
Home ownership, buying their whatever cars, the furniture, so on and so forth. So how do you go about doing that?
Good question. And by the way, the name of the company started because when we started, it was originally just a service that we offered out to mortgage lenders. Period. We didn't go directly to the consumer. And you'll see our logo is a little house. Why is that? Because we only dealt with the ricks of the world. That's it. Period. Now the goals have changed. I need a student loan. I can't get approved for insurance. I can't get a bond to open up my construction business. So the goals are changing. Probably our logo will have to change at some point, but for now it's a little house. But how to do it, that's the mystery. And typically it's a 4-part action plan, okay? Number 1 is goal setting right off the bat. Let's talk to you. Let's find out why you want to repair your credit. No one's doing it for fun.
Right.
Sure.
So some people will talk about their great credit score at like Christmas time. They're like, "Oh man, I got a 900." I'm like, "Really? You do fantastic!
Yeah.
Congratulations!" Yeah, you don't.
Don't go that high, by the way.
We'll talk about that soon, where you got your score. So we'll do some goal setting. Do you want to buy a house? When do you want to do it? What's your timeline? And then we go into what we call the 3 ups, okay, which is clean up, build up, and pay up, which is the up nobody likes. And we'll build out an action plan that ties directly into that deficit. So if your score's a 580, you need a 680 to get that conventional loan. What are going to be our bullet points, specific bullet points to get that 100-point deficit accomplished?
That's interesting. So it's really that precise and it's that quantitative to be able to say the steps that you're going to make, A, B, and C, are going to have this direct impact on your credit score.
It has to be.
Interesting.
If it's not exact, and obviously you leave a little buffer because there are variables in this world, go figure. But it has to be exact. And the formula is not a mystery. You can go to myfico.com and they give you the formula, the percentages. They're right there. But how you navigate them, totally different story.
Right. Let's talk about that for a second, because I want to hit this, and this is one of my biggest frustrations, because there's just not a lot of good information out there, and the consumer is out of their minds about it. But we've now in a position where we can really go on and go to any website. Our credit cards are now sending us what our credit score is, and we, it's really easily to get a credit score. And I think the biggest myth and the biggest frustration is that credit score isn't the same credit score that a mortgage lender is going to pull. And it frustrates the heck out of people, because they'll come and say they've got a great, this great over 700 credit score, and I might be in the low 600s. Why is that, Nick?
Greed. Greed.
But whose part? Not on my part, right?
No, not your part. Here's what's happening. So the credit score that you're using, that FICO 4, FICO 5 formula, it's a 25-year-old formula. It's basically the original formula. In order to retool, to take into account some of these new formulas, they'd have to retool the entire. Well, they'd probably have to re-engineer Wall Street, because all these loans are packaged and sold. That's not happening. But in the meantime, all of these websites need to keep people excited, so they're coming out with different versions of these scores. Right now, there are over 40 different credit score versions out there in Google land.
Really?
There are
Wow.
over 40, and it's confusing the heck out of
Yeah.
people. One of the hottest scores that you're going to find out there that basically everyone's on like a Credit Karma is something called the Vantage score. Interesting story. So FICO Fair Isaac Company has essentially licensed their scoring formula to the three major bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Now, they're paying a licensing fee to use a formula. Okay, they've been doing it for millions, billions of consumers worldwide forever and ever, or at least in the United States. They got together a few years ago and said, you know what, we're sick of this. Let's create a score. Let's get together on this. And they did. They got together. They created something called the Vantage Score, and then they started selling it online as a credit score. And it is a credit score. The problem is, who's using it?
Got it.
Right.
Is anyone?
So
No.
even though it's a score, it may not be a score that obviously, Rick or his underwriter would be taking into consideration in qualifying that individual for a loan.
Or the car loan, or the credit card.
For all intents and purposes, it really is a useless score.
Pretty useless.
Are you seeing any changes on the horizon for 2017 when it comes to these credit scores, adding additional perhaps credit lines or trade lines and that type of thing to be able to get that credit score up?
Well, here's the thing: there are new scoring formulas coming out, even from FICO. The problem is they're not being used. So one of the newer versions of FICO, FICO 8 and also FICO 9 that's coming out, it's basically saying, all right, if you pay off a collection, it was medical related. There are too many of them in the United States. You pay it off. As long as you pay it off, it's not going to affect your credit score. Fantastic, right? Hey, something happened. I broke my foot. I didn't see the bill. I paid it off.
Or the insurance
good.
companies are fighting about it, and then they hit me. I mean, yeah, that's a lot of unfair.
And that's great. So you go online, you go to this website, you pull this free FICO score on whatever website you find it on, and it says your score's an 800, but you go to Rick, it's still a 700 or a 600 or whatever it's going to be because the banks aren't using the score. So it's useless.
I do want to back up, but there is some benefits to the online free credit reports because the information which is on there. So what I do is I send a lot of clients back there and say, hey, go and check and look, not the score. The score doesn't mean anything as far as I'm concerned, but it's reporting all of the information, the data. So if you have been late on something or if something, the collection hasn't been removed off, that's going to tell you, and it's going to tell you without me having to pull a hard credit pull. That's a soft credit pull when you go and do it yourself. So the data is okay, right? But the score is not. So I just, I wanted to touch upon that. So it's a real good place to check and make sure no one's stolen your credit.
Oh yeah, you can get the data right now, and you can get it completely free of charge on half a dozen websites out there like Credit Karma and CreditWise and so on. So that's easy. But again, buyer beware, the credit score that's there. This is a piece of advice I'm giving people right off the bat. It's actually an automatic email that goes out to all of our new clients. If you're in the market to buy a house, and this is the reason you're signing up with us, get to your lender now. Even though you think you might not be in the running, get to your lender now because they're using a different scoring formula, and you might actually find that the lender, in certain cases, is pulling a higher score.
Right.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's right. And Nick, so we started the show off by really putting your team together, your 5-star team. And so, along that theme, what I'm going to urge everybody out there that, listen, that you have things on your credit. You understand, though, that, even though you go late on one of your credit cards, the other credit cards know about that late. Or if you've fallen behind or if you've maxing out your debt, guess what, guys? They're checking this stuff behind the scenes. So, understand that so just because you have a derogatory on one, you want to get that cleared up, taken care of. You want to rebalance the debt that you have out there because, again, maxing out that credit card because it's got a 0% interest rate isn't going to help you in your credit score because it shows you maxed out on that. So what I want to encourage everybody to do is go to keycreditrepair.com if you know that you've got something on your credit that's just hanging out there that it's going to hurt you next time you go and literally if a collection is $20 or $1 billion, right? It doesn't matter as far as the hurt on your credit.
Dollar amount does not affect credit score.
It's
the
all
record affects the score. It's like a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
Same thing.
You had a recent blog, Nick, which talked about the 11 worst credit score myths. We're running out of time. We can't get to them all, but I'm encouraging the listeners to text the word credit to 617-548-7425, credit to 617-548-7425, and we'll provide you this comprehensive list and put you in touch directly with Nick so he can give you a consultation on how to get that credit score up.
Free consultation, Nick?
Exactly.
Absolutely, always.
Great.
Wonderful.
Free consultation. We'll put you in touch with Nick. Guys, it's going into 2017 with a clear credit and just understand what your credit's all about. Nick, thank you so much for being part of the show.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year, guys.